Hi everyone, welcome to Lizzie Stamps. I'm Beth Robinson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'm going to show you a few ideas using the Artfully Composed suite that is in the mini catalog. And here's the mini catalog, here's the cover of it today. What I wanted to tell you before we get delve into it is that celebration is going on through the end of February. And if you decide that you would like to place an order, if you were to place a $50 or more order, you would be able to pick a free item out of the celebration catalog. And there's really some great stamp sets as well as paper that you can, that coordinates with some of the products that are in the mini catalog. And this is great, and I love that this book also gives you ideas of some cards to make. So I just wanted to show you real quickly some of the free items that are available during celebration time, which ends at the end of February, February 28th. So here we go. So today, here's our mini catalog. This catalog is available through the beginning of June. So this is what we call a time-sensitive catalog. It's only, products in this catalog are only available through June. So here we're going to open up, and this is what we're going to be working with today, is the Artfully Composed suite. If you would like everything in the suite, the item number is right here, and the price is right next to it. So it's nice, it gives you just one item number and you receive everything. So I'm going to go over with you what we have available in this suite. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see. So with this suite, you get the Artfully Layered Bundle, which comes with the Artfully Layered Stamp Set and Tropical Layer Dies. You also receive the white 3/4 inch frayed ribbon. And here is the ribbon right here. I love it. Little tip is when you open up the pack, I take little push pins so that I can make sure, so when I'm storing them, that this is not loose. But I wanted to show you the frayed ribbon. It's so pretty. You can cut it and fray it yourself, but it's just a nice soft, it's got a little sheen to it. And I just love that the 3/4 inch. I'm a big fan of wider ribbon. You get 5 yards of this, and it does last a long time. So I really like the ribbon that you get. You also get these faux glass shapes. So here are the shapes right here. They have the Just Jade, the Old Olive, and white sea glass stones. And they're really pretty. They come in different little shapes. They're fun to use on the cards. Also on some of the other stamp sets that are in the mini catalog, they go well with them. And so then you get the, you get 2 paper packs. So you get the Vellum 12 by 12, which I'm going to show you right now. And these are the Vellum Layered Designs designer paper. So I'm going to show you, and it comes with a black as well as a white. And so it's not, our vellum is great. And then to have the printed on there. So here's a map design, and here is the black of the same map design. And you can tell this is more, one side is a little bit more vibrant, and then the other side's a little more muted. So you'll be able to tell which is the front and which is the back, but you can use either side. So here is another one. This one's a script. And here again, you've got the black, and then you have the white. So I like that variation that you can use with this. And here's another script as well, but this is more of a typeset script. And again, you get the white and the black. And you get 2 sheets of each, so there's 12 sheets in that pack. Then the other pack that you receive is the Artfully Composed 12 by 12 designer paper. And I'm going to show you the paper, but I want you to look down here below is that it gives you the colors that are in the paper pack. Calypso Coral, Pale Papaya, Pear Pizzazz, Evening Evergreen, Just Jade, and Mint Macaron. I'm really loving that they've used the green hues, but then they also tie in some other colors. And this is part of more of an orange family with Calypso Coral and Pale Papaya. So I'm going to show you some of those now. And here we have the paper right here. Let me move this out of the way so you can see better. And I love that you have this typeset behind here. Then you have the watercolored images. Our concept artists with Stampin' Up! Designed these on a canvas and then they are printed. So these were actually watercolored and stamped, which I love. And one thing about this piece is that you can take the stamp set and you can stamp over the lined image. So for example, you'll see that this piece right here is the lined image, and then I stamped it with the image from the stamp set. And same with here, you have this image, and then I took the lined leaf and stamped over it. So you can make your own designer paper if you'd like to. You could really actually copy this if you did not get the paper and just get the stamp set with the bundle. So that is one piece right there. And then you have, in the background is this nice, using this Just Jade, and it's a line design. And then here is the other, which I really love. These are almost like little hearts, but they're like seed pods. And so here's a nice collage. And on the back side, here you have the Calypso Coral with a little bit of Pale Papaya in the background. And here's the one other image. I just love the colors. You have the Old Olive, the Evening Evergreen, the Just Jade. And then on the background, you just have a nice Evening Evergreen dotted pattern paper. Here's the another one. Really, these just pop off the page. The catalog does not give these papers justice. It's just nice to be able to see. And on the background, you have this fun little dot lined image. And here we go again with this one. I love that. And just so, I really just love this paper. And then again, you just have another more subtle lined image with a background of Evening Evergreen. And then the last one is this nice line design. And it's just almost like a birds of, what is it? The birds of prey leaf coming out with the Pale Papaya, the Calypso Coral, and the Just Jade. And then here you have a nice script background in the Pale Papaya. So another thing that's what I love is that you can take the dies that match, and I'm going to show you the stamp set. The dies that match, this is the stamp set itself, and then here the dies will actually, if you were to take this and you can use it through your Big Shot or your stamp, emboss, and cut machine, is it actually will cut it out, and it'll cut out the other leaf as well. So I really love that they're using more of that. And you can also take there's a lot of, here are the images right here. And I usually leave this on the background paper it comes with, but you can also take a magnet sheet and the magnet sheet, and you can cut it to fit in there so that they are on a magnet sheet. But here are the designs. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the 9 is the outline of this one that we'll be using today. And when I am using new stamp sets, what I like to do is I like to put in, if it's a bundle, I like to put on here what the bundle part is, whether it be a punch or whether it be the dies. And here it is, the Tropical Layers dies. And then I also put when this came out, which is spring of the 2022 mini. So it's good and easy to use because when it retires, then I go ahead and take this aside and I'll put a red line through it after it retires. So that's just a little bit, just some tips and ideas. So we are going to be using today we are going to make a great card, but we're going to be using the Stamparatus. And the Stamparatus, if some of you have not seen the Stamparatus before, it's our stamp positioning tool. When you receive your Stamparatus, you receive 2 of these platforms that can easily be taken out and used if you were going to keep doing lined images on a sheet. I've shown that before to my card club and they love that idea. They love that they can have different effects using the Stamparatus, but it's also a great positioning tool when you're trying to get a straight lined image. And when you receive it, you have these great magnets, and I have washi tape over them because they are extremely strong. There's 2 of them, and I will show you on the other side. This is where they house right here, and they're magnet just like this, and you can take it off. And also what's great about the bottom of the Stamparatus is you have these wonderful rubbed rubber positioning dots. So when you are working with this, it's going to stay in place. So when you receive it, you get those 2 magnets. Another thing that I use, and you can buy this separately, is this great lined paper that just fits perfectly into the Stamparatus itself. And I really like this when you're doing big images, if you're doing off the paper, and so you have this underneath. You also get this foam mat, so when you're using the clear stamp sets, the photopolymer stamp sets, it's just a nice extra cushion. And you can buy this separately as well. And this again fits right in. And this has the lines already on it. So when you're positioning your image, your stamp image onto your card, you can play with it first. But sometimes I like to use this the most. I have this, again, it's got a nice foam black background. And this is a nice laminate in front. So that's nice to use as well. But this is separate with a separate item that you can place and order when you're ordering the Stamparatus, as well as the grid paper. One other thing I did order, now this is not a Stampin' Up! Product, but it's by a company called Stampin' Storage. And I'll put the link in the description below of where you can receive this. But again, this has the lined images, but this is magnetic. And so I really like keeping that down here a lot. And just so I've had that extra security when I'm stamping. So we're going to make this card first today. And this card, I saw this from Ann Hellman, and she put this on YouTube and I was able to watch it, but it's called the Keyhole Cut Out Technique. Okay, keyhole meaning, with a keyhole, you can see through this. So I'm going to show you how to do this, and so that you can replicate this image. So what we're going to need first is we're going to need a piece of Pear Pizzazz cut at 5 and 5.5 by 11. And then you're going to score at, 5, it's 4, it's cut a whole sheet. I'll get this right, sorry. You get, cut a sheet in half, and then you're going to score. So this is the 8.5. You're going to score at 4 1/4. Okay. So you're going to cut the paper at 5.5 by 8.5, and then you're going to score at 4 1/4. All right. Sometimes if I'm making multiple cards, I go ahead and score the whole sheet at 4 1/4, and then I can cut it at 5 1/2. So I've got 2 that already have the score line in it. Okay, so when you are scoring, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. I like to use, here's our bone folder, and I like to make sure that I have the corners lined up. And then I'm going to go ahead and just press down, and this flattens the card. So it's nice, it gives a nice, so when you're going to put it in the envelope, it's nice and flat. And that's a great, the bone folder is not just used for creasing your paper. There's a lot of different uses that you can do with the bone folder besides just using it. This actually is a laundry tool, but Stampin' Up! Has had this for a very long time. It's a nice, it just has a nice feel to it. So I have several of them, but this one you can tell is well worn. So once you have your, and then you're going to take a piece of the designer paper, the artfully composed designer paper, and you're going to cut it at 4 5 1/4. Okay, so we're going to layer this first, but I want to just layer around the edge. All right, because we are going to be cutting out the middle part for the keyhole. So here I just added a little bit of glue. I'm going to go ahead and layer my piece on here. Make sure I'm really, I go back and forth between using our Stampin' Seal and our green glue, our multi-purpose green glue. I just feel like with the green glue, if you are laying down your piece, you can move it a little bit. It doesn't dry quickly. This this is not as forgiving as the Tombow glue. So then I have another piece here of 4 by 5 1/4, and this is going to be my ins for the inside. Okay, but we're going to stamp on that as well first. So we're going to position, I'm going to go ahead and position where I would like to have, let me move this a little bit, where I would like to have my image. I'm going to go ahead and put the magnet down. And the first image that we're going to be using is we're going to be using the nice lined leaf image. So what I would like to do first is I'm going to go ahead and place my image onto my card. Okay, here's my sticky part. So when I like where it is, I'm going to go ahead and push down the platform and then lift up, and it's ready to go for me. All right, so here we go. This makes it a little bit easier. There we go. So now what I'm going to do, we're going to stamp with Pear Pizzazz. And when you're doing the, when you're stamping the ink onto the image, it's nice sometimes to use our smaller stamping spots that you can add re-inker to. But I'm just going to take my ink pad and I'm just going to dab it over. Make sure I have that good image. All right. And then I'm going to take it and push down onto the paper. Let's see how I like it. I still see a little bit of lined image. I'm going to make this a little bit closer so you can see. So I still see a little bit that I would like to add more ink to. So here I'm going to take the ink pad again. So this is great for when you don't get a nice solid image onto your paper. You can go ahead, re-ink it, and press it down again. The paper had not moved, so you can stamp right over the image. There, I like that a lot better, okay? So then what I'm going to do is I want to do the same thing for the front. I'm going to go ahead and get my Stampin' Chamois, my chamois, and clean off the top, okay? Sometimes when you're using these bigger stamp pads, it gets ink around the edges and you can just go ahead and clean it off. So there, it's ready to go for a different color. All right, so now what we're going to do, leave the stamped the stamp there, and we're going to move on to, let me close this up, and now we're going to stamp the front. We are going to stamp the front of our card. Okay, so this is going to help with our keyhole technique. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out the front, and I'm just leaving it right there, so when we cut it out, you'll be able to see it's exactly where I stamped this image on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Memento black ink, and you'll need the black for the sentiment on the inside, but it's nice because this is such a pattern paper that I'm going to go ahead and use that as my outline so I know where to cut. Okay. So I don't need much. I just need enough to just so I can see when I'm going to be using when I cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and take off that. And if you're not familiar with our cleaning chamois, this cleaning chamois is really great. You can see how dirty it, but when you clean the image looks clean. So even though this is dirty, I do rinse this out probably once a week. Sometimes the edges can get dry, but I've had this for a long time and I keep flipping it over. And it cleans our images great. And then I have these blank DVD cases that you can buy, 3 to a pack, and I store it in here. It's great for stamp classes. You can have them on the table and everybody can use them when they're making their cards. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we'll come back to the Stamparatus in just a minute. Okay, I lost my saying. All right, but we'll get back to that. Here we go. We're going to move our Stamparatus over to the side right now. And then now we're going to use the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. I have it right here. That's really, oh, sorry. We're going to get it a little bit out. There we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my image here and I'm going to use the die and I'm going to cut out. And this, even though it's layered onto the cardstock, it'll cut through with just one swoop through. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that on top, hold it down, and run it through the machine. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. And I will show you. We do have the smaller Stamp Cut and Emboss machine, which is nice to use, but I had the bigger paper. So when you cut it out, you have 2 pieces now. So you'll have the piece, the image, the stamped image that you had, and then you'll also have the solid image from the card base. You can keep these for later use. You could actually use it on the envelope if you'd like to. So now I have my keyhole part, okay? So when we adhere this piece onto here, you'll be able to line it up and it'll, there we go. You line it up and you'll have your keyhole image right there. So I really like, so then now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I want to shade my image, okay, before I put the sentiment on it. So I have a piece of the scrap paper from the grid paper for the Stamparatus, and I cut out the leaf image. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of our blending brushes, and here's a blending brush right here, and I'm going to go ahead and shade my image. So I'm going to take my blending brush, I'm going to hold my paper down, take my blending brush, and off to the side, just off a little bit, and then come on in and shade it. You can do it as dark or as light, but I really like that it has the that you'll just be shading the image itself since you have the mask on top. Okay, I really like how that turned out. There we go. So you can see how nice that is. All right, blending brushes. I use this one for all the greens. So when you're finished with it, you can just take it and wipe it off just so you don't have any more ink. And then I have a holder right up above where my inks are, and I put it in my holder. Okay, so now we're going to put away our Pear Pizzazz, and we have our image. Now we're going to stamp. So I'm going to bring back my Stamparatus. I'm going to take off the leafed image that I used, and now I'm going to position the paper. There we go. I'm going to position the paper back onto the Stamparatus, and do that first and put it back in the corner. And I'm going to go ahead and put my magnet there. Now we're going to be using this sentiment that says, "Hey there." All right. And I'm going to line it up as best as I can and position it where I want it on the top of the leaf. Okay. Hopefully that looks good. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my platform, put it over, and it will get the stamp, and now I'm ready to stamp it. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and use Memento black ink this time, and I'm going to stamp right on top, and I'm going to push it over. There we go. And I really want it to stand out, so I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit more bold by adding more black ink. And see how it has more of a boldness to it. So there you go. You can see it better. So I like that a lot. And so I'm fine with that. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my stamp. Now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take this off because we're going to be using the Stamparatus for another card. And I'm ready to put the card together. If I can get it off. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put the Stamparatus to the side, and now we're going to go ahead and add this to the inside of our card. So here we go. We have it. So you can go ahead and glue it in. All right, so, and then you can see, if I get my card back over again, here we go. So here's the completed card. There we go. And you open it up, and there's your keyhole. So that's a fun little, great little technique. And now I'm going to show you another one. And this time we're going to be making a card using, this is our next card. And we're going to be using the stamp positioning tool, the Stamparatus, again. So this time I would like to use a thicker, since I'm using a white cardstock, I would like to use the thick, basic white cardstock that we sell. This is thicker than our normal cardstock, but I really like how it feels. And when you're making cards with just the white card base, I like using the thick. Then I have another piece of the basic white, and this is at 4 by 5 1/4. And then again, this piece is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and score my card first and push it to the side for right now. We don't need it. We're going to be doing a little bit different now. This card, this is going to be using a technique with our sponge daubers, and we are going to be sponging the leaf image. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that now. Okay, so here we have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 white, and I'm going to go ahead and place it on the Stamparatus, and I like to do the corner. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up a little bit so you can see. I'll do a little bit more. Okay, so I have my piece pushed up in the corner. I have my magnet that's going to keep it in place, and then we are going to be using the image, the other leaf image that's in the stamp set. And this is the nice, here's a nice leaf right here. If you notice close, you have this brush stroke image. So when you're stamping it, you're going to have lighter areas. So when if I was stamping a solid image, you would notice that this is going to be a little bit lighter. So there's a different gradation of the same color that you're using. So I'm going to be placing, I would like to have it right about here. All right. Then I have my stuff. Now it's ready to go. Okay. I'm going to place this under here, and we're going to be using 4 different colors. Now, when I have my sponge daubers, I keep them in a case, and I like to show in the case like what color it is. So I just take some paper. Hopefully you can see that. I like to take some paper, write Pear Pizzazz on it, and then put it on secure it with a piece of tape. So I always know that this sponge dauber is Pear Pizzazz. So we'll be using Pear Pizzazz, Old Olive, Bumblebee, and Calypso Coral. So when I made the first card, I wanted a little bit more of the Calypso Coral and the Bumblebee. But let's try it a little different, and we're only going to have hues of the Bumblebee and the Calypso Coral, and we're going to have more of the Old Olive and the Pear Pizzazz. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Pear Pizzazz first. And when you're using your sponge daubers, you just go ahead and rub on there. I'm going to go ahead and rub, and I'm just going to go ahead and dab the color onto the stamp, and it's all random, and then we'll see how we do it. So after you stamp your Pear Pizzazz, I'm going to go ahead and push down and see how I like that image. So you'll notice wherever I sponged the Pear Pizzazz onto the stamp, that's where you can see. So now I'm going to go ahead, and now I'm going to use Old Olive. So I'm going to take my Old Olive. I'm going to take my Old Olive sponge dauber. And again, I'm going to stamp. And then I'm going to see on here, okay, so I have some empty spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and put that with Pear Pizzazz. I have the Old Olive, and so I just want to see how this looks, and I'm going to go ahead, press it down again. Remember, it's going to stamp over the same place that you did with the Pear Pizzazz. So here you have a little bit more Old Olive. I like that. I can come back to it if I want to, so I'm just going to leave that for right now, but I can always come back to it. Now I would like to use my Bumblebee. So I'm going to take my Bumblebee. Bumblebee sponge dauber, ink up the sponge dauber, and then I like this area right here to add some Bumblebee, and maybe some around the edges of the leaf. Now you could clean your leaf after each time that you add a color, but I don't think it really doesn't bother the sponge daubers that much. You're not getting a lot of different inks. Oh, that is turning out so pretty. Look at that. Let me bring it in so you can see it a little bit more. I love the hue of the Bumblebee. That's really pretty. And you'll notice up here, okay, I see a little bit of white space again. That's where I'm going to add my Calypso Coral. I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to use my Calypso Coral and my Calypso Coral sponge dauber. I'm going to go ahead and stamp where those white areas are. So right about there, and then right about over here, and up here, and maybe a little bit down there, and a little bit around the edges again. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Go ahead and press down. Oh, this is just gorgeous. I'm really, really happy with the way this turned out. I actually like this one than my first one, but see how you get the different hues of the different colors depending on where you use the sponge dauber. I really like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and clean off my leaf because I want to put the saying over the stamped leaf image. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off and put it back. All right, I'm going to go ahead. It's nice having a stamp pad or stamp case underneath it because then it makes it level. So when you are adding color to the image, it's nice. It keeps it nice and even. So the image, I'm going to close up this because I know. So the image I used here, the sentiment is sending all the hugs. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of my stamp set, sending all the hugs. And I'm going to position it. I want part of the hugs to be on the card. So I'm making sure that it's straight. And I'm going to look up here and see how that looks. I think that's good. Sending all the hugs. Press down. Whoops. First of all, I want to go ahead and position my paper. Hold on a second. With the magnet. There we go. Oh, I moved it again. Here, let me just make sure. There we go. Still doesn't look up a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to push down again. The platform, it attaches to the platform. Now I'm going to be using my Memento black ink, and I'm going to stamp the image. And lay it over and push. I want it to be a little bit more bold like I did on the other card. So I'm going to go ahead and restamp the saying again in Memento black and push down right over it. And you'll notice once we do the second time, you'll notice how much more bold it is. I really like just how that pops. So I really like that. So, okay, so I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off real quick and then move our Stamparatus out because we're finished using it. All right. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take, before we glue it on, I want to add a little bit of Wink of Stella. So I have my Wink of Stella right here. I'm going to take my bone folder. This is what the bone folder is known, it's good for, other than just creasing your card to make it flat. But I'm just going to take the Wink of Stella and I'm just going to tap on here to give some glitter splatter to the card. You could do the flick technique like this if you want to as well, but the bone folder is nice. It's just easy to tap. And then you have your little splatter of Wink of Stella. See if you can get there. You can see a little bit of that. Okay, so now we're going to put the card together, and I'm going to be using dimensionals because I'm going to lay it right on top. I do like the way that the white on white is, and so I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some dimensionals, and I usually add about 4. And then some people are worried that if it's popped up too high that it won't go through the mail nicely. So just add another dimensional to the middle, and I'll show you that you can just push it down and it'll flatten just a little bit, but still have the pop that the dimensionals give to the card. All right, so then I'm just going to put it onto our card. There we go. And then you have that middle one. I'm just going to push it down a little bit. So it does give you a little bit more flatness in the middle. So when you put it in the envelope to mail it, it won't be pushed up so much. So there we go. Now, another, I love embellishments and bling. Since we added the wink of Stella, I think we need to add a little bit of some of our iridescent basic rhinestone jewels. And these are great in every color. And you'll notice that it picks up every color of the leaf that I stamped. So it comes in a pack of, let me see, 200, and it has a 4mm, 5mm, 6mm size. So there's 3 different sizes. One thing I did want to mention is that you do have the back that opens it right here. And that sometimes can get, it can be a pain to open it up, slide it open. So I had one of my customers, and she's actually a fellow demonstrator. She told me, she goes, Beth, let's just cut a slit on the side of the plastic, and then all you have to do is slide it out, and then it goes right back in. Genius. So that is really great. So then I'm going to take a pick tool, which is right here. This is another great product that Stampin' Up! Sells. You have your palette side right here, but it comes out, and on the other side you have your pokey tool, as we call it. And then it's nice. It goes in, put it in, and then it has a lock and unlock. So unlock to the right, lock to the left. And then it has another feature on this side, and this is a pickup tool, okay? And it's got some putty on it. So when the putty starts to run out or it's not sticking anymore, you can just pull that off. So I'll pull it off right now so you can see. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn this, and you'll start to see more pop out, okay? So that is great. And then when it doesn't work anymore, you can take it off, and then we do have refills for this. So I didn't push very hard, but you'll notice I'm going to push it down just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of my iridescent gems, and I'm just pushing on the gem and pulling it up, and it comes right off, and then pushing it right back onto my card. So I'm going to go ahead and I am one that I have to have uneven number of gemstones, embellishments, whatever I'm doing onto my card. So you'll notice that I won't have even on my card. That's just how I am. Some people, you can just put 1, you could put 3, 5, 7. So on this one, I do have 7 on here. So I have 3 here. You have the 3 different sized ones. I have the smallest one here. Then I'm going to take the middle size, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. And then another small one right below it. And then right over here, I think I'll add one more of the small ones. So there. There you go. Isn't that pretty? That's really pretty. So using the same technique when we did the leaf, I'm going to just do the inside for you, but I'm going to use the little seeds. But I'm going to show you a quick way. I have to get a block. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on here, but I'm going to go ahead and just take my Calypso Coral first, and I'm going to just stamp a little bit on here. Some people call this the thumping technique. And then I'm going to add some bumblebee. Again, and just thumping it on there. Okay. let me close this up and then we'll go ahead and stamp it. When I'm using two different colors sometimes and doing this with the sponge daubers, a nice way to reactivate the ink is to huff on it. So I huffed on it and I'm going to go ahead and stamp it now. Whoops, I better watch out for my sponge daubers. And I'm just going to stamp it right here down at the bottom. And there you have two-tone colors with the Bumblebee and the Calypso Coral. So there is the card. So this is a really fun technique, and it's great to be using other different kinds of stamps that you can add different colors to. I just think they're nice, clean and crisp colors. And here we have again our keyhole one. There's the other one that I really like using. A couple other things that I wanted to show you with this stamp set. Now remember, when you get your catalog, you have the cards they have already made for you. So you might want to copy. So it's called casing, copy and share everything. When I do see card ideas from other demonstrators, when I post anything, I put where I got the idea from. I do try, for the most part, to have my own ideas, but it's great that there's just so many talented demonstrators globally and in the United States. And Instagram is wonderful, and also Pinterest. So just don't forget that this is not just a catalog, it's also an idea book. And so I'm going to show you some other cards that I've made with this stamp set before we sign off. So here I took a piece of the designer paper and I stamped 3 colors, Evening Evergreen, Old Olive, and Pear Pizzazz, with the same leaf image. And then you will notice here that I have the other leaf on the background. So when you're using tone on tone, you can either use, this is Calypso Coral. I could have used the Calypso Coral, but I decided to use the Versamark. And Versamark is our gluey clear stamp pad that you use with embossing, but it's not just for embossing. It can also enhance the card. So all I did was stamp the leaf on here, and it brings the color out of the card base even more. So you can see that. Then I took one of the script images and stamped it, and stamped thank you. And then I took my Bumblebee sponge dauber, sponged around. There you go. And I punched it out with our postage punch. And then I adhered it with dimensionals. And also this is a piece of our pale papaya ribbon. And this is great because it comes in all the in colors. So it'll come in Evening Evergreen, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, Soft Sea Foam, and Fresh Freesia. There's another one I couldn't think of. Or Soft Succulent, not Soft Sea Foam, sorry, Soft Succulent. And then I just took a piece of, now I'm mint macaron behind here, just to give a little bit more color to the card. And then on the inside, I just stamped in, this is Pale Papaya, the seeds. So that is just another nice card that you can create with that. Very simple. And every month, and I've talked about this before, but I follow Alicia, and she is Call Me Crafty Owl on Instagram. You can follow her on Instagram. You can also follow her YouTube channel. And every month she comes out with a new sheetload of cards. You can make 9 cards, 12 cards. This time we're making 6 A2 base cards. Your A2 base cards is your 5.5 by 4 1/4 card that which are standard. They go in the standard envelopes. So this is more of the it's the US measurement, the metric measurement. They're A4 cards and they're a little bit bigger. But she gives you suggestions on the dimensions if you're making a single card, or if you want to make lots of cards, she gives you what you need. So she tells you the supplies, she gives you the dimensions, how many cards you'll be making, and alternatives of how you could be using this card. Some people might not want the card going up and down. They might be wanting it to go sideways. So then you'll have exactly how she cut the paper and how many pieces of designer paper, and then the measurements. She was focusing this month on using 6x6 sheets, and we do carry a lot of 6x6 designer paper, but you can easily cut your 12x12 paper into 4 6x6 sheets. So I needed some thank you cards since it's my birthday month, and I went ahead and made 6 cards using her design. You can add your own flair to it. So here you have some of the outlined dies, and I used the layering vellum, and then I used Calypso Coral, and then I took and die cut an leaf image out, and I stamped thank you, and then stamped off the seeds, and then I sponged around, and then I used a piece of our frayed ribbon, and I also stamped on the background the more defined leaf image, and then on the inside here I just stamped off one of the lined images. So I made 6 of these, and I will tell you, once I cut everything, I made 6 cards within about an hour. So once you cut out everything and you figure out how you're going to make your design, then it comes together very quickly. So here you have, oh, and another thing that is in the mini catalog that I added are these genial gems. They're garden gems. And these, again, when the light shines on them, they're all different colors. So I thought it worked really well with all the colors I was using. So now I've got 6 cards to send. And if you want to follow Call Me Crafty Owl, you can go to her YouTube channel. She gives you the printout, and you can get it for free if you just follow her channel. She goes by the honor system. I think it's wonderful. She has just so many ideas. And then you can go on, and if you would like to share your card that you make using her design, you've got your hashtag for February, SUYS, which is Show Us Your Sheet Load, February 2022, or Show Us Your Sheet Load with the hashtag. So I think it's really fun. I also send her my cards when I make them, just so she has them on hand. So I hope that you liked what I showed today. If you would like to see more ideas on my cards, you can go to bethrobinson.stampinup.net. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. I really appreciate you following along today, and I hope you have a really great day.